everybody. Merry Christmas. It is the ArmChair GM show. We're back here. I am Greenby, and that is my friend Tigo doing the old stretch-a-rooney before the stream. And we are going into it. Everything's settling down, Tigo. We know who our coaches are. We know who the quarterback coach is. Everybody's very excited about him. He seems to be the guy getting most accolades. We love a running back as the quarterback coach. Why not? That's what we do. But here we go. It's like, the GM's in place. They're going to keep Phil Savage. That's some news we heard. He's going to stay on the team as an advisor, as a consultant of sorts. So he stays around. We got our scouts. I don't see Muji really making too much noise in the scouting world. We know Aaron Glenn's our coach. We know Steve Wilks, our defensive coordinator. We got a young first-time offensive coordinator potentially getting us into the 21st century with our offense, which will be nice. Tanner Engstrand. The name Tanner says young. That's what it says. Tanner says not an old man. That's what that says. So how you feeling about everything? Like as we go into kind of the evaluation period of the offseason, Senior Bowl just right behind us. How you feeling about the collective work that the Jets have pulled together this offseason?
I think. Okay, so this is a weird answer. I'm relieved. I think is the best way to start off that statement, because we don't have to sit here and worry about who the staff is anymore. We know who it is. Now we can worry about their performances. But we generally walked away with, be very clear, I didn't want Aaron Glenn. I was okay with Aaron Glenn, but he wasn't who I wanted. And I said this a couple of weeks ago when we did the ArmChair GM show. I said, once we hired Aaron Glenn, the most important thing became who was going to be his staff, specifically who was going to be his coordinators. And I think that he absolutely, when we were making the lists of guys that Glenn could possibly hire, he hired two of the three names that I immediately wanted to be his coordinators. I didn't think we were going to have a shot at Tanner Engstrand. I thought he was going to for sure stay in Detroit. So I didn't even put him on my list, but he was going to be my number one guy that I wanted at OC. I wanted Steve Wilks as the DC, and I wanted Daniel Rizzi as the special teams coordinator. Well, we got two of the three. And so I am very excited about what these hires might mean. Less excited about maybe like some of the position coaches and some of those decisions being made. But I'm just going to default to let's give them an opportunity to disappoint us. Let's not go into it expecting the worst. Hey, maybe they're good. Maybe a tight end is an offensive line coach and a running back as a quarterback's coach works. Who knows? We don't know. We weren't there for the interviews. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. But I'm going to give them the opportunity. I'm going to give them enough rope to hang themselves. That's the best way to say it.
I think that's fair. I like that. And I got to say, what I'm most delighted with, like we look at the Jets have had trouble, let's say, for the last 15 years and change. We had our couple, we had some good years there heading into 2009 and 10. And we were good. 2008, we didn't make the playoffs. We had a down year. 2007, 2006, we were 10-6. So we had some good years there, but we've had our troubles. And we look for these common, what's the common variable that maintains, right? You got Woody Johnson, which is what we all point to Woody. But another guy who's been here a long time, and I was happy to see finally go, is Brant Boyer, the special teams coach. The truth is, the guy he's been a part of losers perpetually. Everybody likes him. He's a tough guy. That sounds great. But he had to be a voice in the room for Xavier Gibson. So what has Xavier Gibson done, right? For Malachi Corley not being able to get on the field because we needed Gibson on special team, whatever it might be. So I was happy to see, if you're going to clean it, clean it. Now, they did hold on to Sean Jefferson, who was here with the previous regime, right? He was here with Bowles. Then he came back for last year with Saleh, and now Aaron Glenn is keeping him. I like Sean Jefferson. Think he's a good coach, and he's highly high energy and all that. But I was happy to see Boyer go, replaced by a Mike Westhoff disciple, which is what I like. Chris Banjo. How'd you feel about that whole situation?
Like I said, I wanted Rizzy. That's the guy I wanted. Because of just like, I thought he did a good job as the interim head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Yep. I thought that the special teams unit that New Orleans had was pretty good. And so, like, for me, there was this idea of like, I didn't necessarily want too many people don't understand the value of special teams and just how important it is, and I have always been a stout, like, special teams matter. It's a big deal. Games can be won or lost on special teams. And if we're being honest, in this generation, most of the time, games are won and lost with special teams.
Yeah, no doubt. We see it time and time again.
And how many games did we lose this year because of special teams?
Yep.
Because we didn't have a kicker, because of all of these things. And so I am definitely a big proponent of like special teams matters. It matters in a big, big way. But getting a guy who Westhoff like specifically was like, no, like, this guy's got it. This is my guy, and I'm coming back to help him. That was a big, big, like, vote of confidence for Banjo. And so even though he originally was something where I was like a little bit like, man, I don't know how I feel about this Banjo fella, but to see him go in and get all of this, praise from Sean Payton and from Westhoff really, really put him in a positive light in my eyes.
Right. So I like this one too. I'm with you on Rizzy, but I like Chris Banjo, and I think no matter how you slice it, get the stink out of here. And that brings us to a very important question. Blitz Crew started us off here with an important question. But as a matter of fact, let me say this first before I get to you, Blitz Crew. I do want to remind everybody about the fantastic offer that BetUS is still out there providing for viewers of this show. So all you have to do when you go to BetUS, use the promo code YouTube150, everybody, and you will get a 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 and a 125% bonus on your next two deposits up to $2,000. They are America's favorite sports book for a reason. They're my favorite sports book because they have darts. I love darts. I want to put wagers on the dart championships. That's what I like. But BetUS, guys, take advantage of the offer heading into Super Bowl weekend. It's going to be fun to see if the NFL allows this anybody to beat the Chiefs. You can maybe make some money on this thing. Thank you to BetUS. YouTube 150 is the code, everybody, at BetUS. So Blitz Crew checking in. When do you think we will hear the answer to the big question regarding Aaron and Devontae? Tigo and I were talking about this a little bit ago. First, let's say this. Look, we've had some time now. The smoke is settled. The pain has kind of subsided somewhat. We got a whole fresh new perspective on the New York Jets. Where do you stand on Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams coming back? Or would you try to keep one or if you couldn't keep both? Where do you stand on the whole thing?
Before I get into it, check the private chat real quick. I think Aaron, it just depends on I'm good either way. If we keep Aaron, then we keep Aaron. Cool. I think Aaron is the best available quarterback to the New York Jets if you're really trying to win football games next year, like this upcoming season. I think he gives us that best shot because this quarterback draft class is absolutely abysmal, one of the worst I've seen in a long time. And this free agency class is also abysmal. There isn't a quarterback that does that. And my thing is I'm tending to lean towards the idea of like, I just want to end the drought.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's all I care about. I'm done being like the laughing stock of the NFL, and every single time in, October, the graphic comes up at every Jets game, 15 years without a playoff appearance, the longest playoff drought and all the major sports. And it's just like, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
That happening. And I think Aaron gives us the best shot of getting out of that. And so I tend to lean like keep Aaron because of the fact that I think Aaron under center for us with some tweaks on the defense and hopefully good coaching really, really gets us to 9 wins, 10 wins. And once you're in the playoffs, who knows what happens? I did a whole 180 on it. I don't know if you remember, Green Bean, like before the playoffs happened, I was just like, making the playoffs shouldn't really matter because it's about consistently winning. And then the commies shut me up. Literally, they shut me up because at no singular position, at no singular side of the ball, were they better than any of the teams that they faced. And they made an NFC championship game and took it to the Eagles and gave them a run for their money. And so, in my opinion, get to the playoffs and let's see what happens. Because we beat the Bills twice with Zach Wilson.
Right.
If the Zebras didn't get involved, we would have beat the Kansas City, Taylor Swifts.
Yep.
When we played them 2 years ago. So just get into the playoffs and let's see what happens because I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm done with it.
I gotta say, I'm with you too. Like, I tend to lean that way. I do understand what everybody's saying. Like, look, we got a fresh start here. If we, and you keep an obviously polarizing player around, there are people out there that hate this guy, right? Like a Rossini. So you can expect more articles to come out. You got the weekly spots on McAfee. If anything's going wrong, we're kind of, there's nothing in-house when he's here. There's just a lot of that and potentially negative stuff. And there are rumors that guys on the team are tired of it. It's not worth it. He's not playing well enough to justify the bullshit that he brings with him. And he, whatever, all that stuff. But I'm with you too. It's like, guys, we got to remember that we are, out of all the professional sports in North America, we are the worst. You know what I mean? Think about that.
Yep.
Every single team has made the playoffs in the last 15 years. We have not. I want to end that one. I want to have some fun this year. The idea of trotting Tyrod Taylor out there it's just, it's a wasted year with Aaron Rodgers. And, I think by proxy, you get to keep Davante Adams. So then you're rolling it back with Aaron Rodgers, a rebuilt, an offensive line now that has played together for a year. You still need that right tackle, but maybe it's Morgan Moses. Maybe he's back, and we got the whole offensive line back. You got Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Davante Adams, Malachi Corley going into his second year, who I still have high hopes for. I think our previous coaching staff were garbage. I mean, they didn't develop a single guy in 4 years. Not one offensive guy did they develop. As a matter of fact, guys like Ruckert, Max Mitchell, Carter, they've all regressed. They've gotten worse. Kenny Yeboah can't seem to make the damn field. I mean, he goes out there for 5 plays, lays a bunch of great blocks, and catches what you throw at him, unless you throw it at his ankles. But it's like, and he can't see the field, So it's just, I don't know. I don't base any player's performance or lack thereof on the fact, like on them. I blame it on the coaching staff. I think that the coaching staff was clearly inept. But you got Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis in the running back room. You got to do something to the tight ends. We got, everybody's a free agent except for Ruckert. So you got some work to do, but it's like we could run it back. You fix the defensive line, get a couple fatties for the defensive line. You fix the safety position, and we're obviously you got to see who the corner is. There's work to do, but we have a lot of talent here. Maybe we do compete this year. We competed last year. We just kept losing in the fourth quarter for different reasons. So anyway, I think I'm leaning toward I hope they bring them back, and I hope they come as a package deal.
Me too.
Do you think there's any way that Devontae stays if Aaron Rodgers is gone?
Not at his age. Like, that's the thing. I think another thing that like fans who want him gone don't really, I think, fully wrap their heads around is, well, if you get rid of Aaron, there's no replacement that we're going to get that's going to give us any significant amount of wins. So what that means is we're done with Breece Hall, because I don't think we're going to extend Breece Hall.
Right.
He's got one more year left on his deal. So we're done with Breece Hall. It's a great 4 years, kind of, but he's gone. That also means that we might break the record for most quarterbacks given to a really, really good wide receiver in 4 years, because he's already at what, 9?
9.
Garrett Wilson.
Yep.
So let's get him to 12, right? Because we know if we go, Tyrod Taylor's going to get hurt.
Yep.
People might have faith or whatever and believe in the kid out of Florida State. I don't think he's good enough to play football in the NFL. I think he's going to be a low level, like a Tim Boyle level backup. You know what I mean? So that means he's not going to work out, and then we're going to have to bring in is a guy who's played with 12 quarterbacks in 4 years going to want to stay on that team, going to want to sign an extension. So that means that more than likely Garrett Wilson is gone. Like, the ramifications of us going and wasting, let's say, 2025 to load up for the 2026 draft class, I don't think people really fully grasp what that means. So, like, you see comments of like, oh, whatever, I want to build for the future, I want sustained success, I don't want to do it for 1 year. And I was like, you can have both. Nothing's stopping the Jets in 2026 from San Franciscoing up for a quarterback in a class that's supposed to be one of the best quarterback classes since the Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson year, where there was like 6 guys that went in the first round.
Yeah.
That's what next year is supposed to be, you know? So I'm with you. I'm like, I think this team was competent coaching and a kicker away from having 9 or 10 wins last year.
Yeah, it's very true. You know, so I don't know. I think that's kind of, I'd love to see him roll it. Like, and now you bring up a great point too with like, well, the Breece Hall thing, like we're kind of saying goodbye.
Yep.
Like, dude, it's together. It's here. Let's run it back. Let's try to squeeze the lemon. We got 1 more year. It's Aaron Glenn's first year. He gets kind of a mulligan-ish, you know?
Yeah.
Bearded checking in on this topic says, have any Jets players said they don't like Rodgers, at least publicly? The only stuff I've heard directly is all the love that players have for him. I got to tell you, it's only rumors that I've heard. I haven't seen anybody come out and say anything. There's obviously the Garrett Wilson mid-game frustration stuff that you see, but I think that's more to do with Garrett Wilson is a passionate dude. You know, he's working his ass off every single play. He never takes a play off, and he gets frustrated, you know, if things don't work out. He's tired of losing, dude. You know, think about it. He comes here. He knows he knows he's top 5. He's got top 5 potential. And he's like, again, 9, like Tigo just said it, 9 quarterbacks in 3 years. He's tired of it. I just want to fucking win. I know how to beat this guy. I'm open. Get me the ball. I'm sick of it. If it's got to be me, then let it be me, you know? Mm-hmm. So imagine, like, so we do a Tyrod Taylor year. Garrett Wilson's like, screw this. I want out of here. Breece Hall doesn't get re-upped. And it's like, look, well, where are we? You know? So, but have you heard anybody say that they don't like Aaron Rodgers?
Not anyone who's on the football team. It's the exact opposite. Jermaine Johnson, DJ Reed, Morgan Moses, other guys have the only things that they have come out is positive recognition of Aaron Rodgers, his work ethic, and what he wants to do. All of this criticism of Rodgers is coming from Diana Rossini, her footstool, Zach Rosenblatt. Like it's all of the Bart Scott, and it's just like, it's these people who haven't played with Rodgers, or it's these outside people looking in And I think I'm really glad that we brought this up because like I look at it and I go, is this drama just for drama's sake because we're losing? Because losing begets drama, begets losing, begets drama. Because we don't hear about any of this drama on teams that win. Now that all of these Patriots are retired and have their own podcasts and things like that, we're hearing all of these horror stories coming out of New England. And they're all laughing and joking around. And why? Because winning cures all ailments.
Right.
We didn't hear a single negative thing out of Seattle when Pete Carroll was there, when Russell Wilson was there, when all those guys were there and they were winning. And then Marshawn leaves, and then the Legion of Boom falls apart. And on every single podcast you start talking, every single interview, everything you start hearing about this Legion of Boom team, it was a disaster. But during those years, no one talked bad about it. No one had any conversations about it because winning cures all ailments.
No, it's true. It's very true. Winning cures all. And the sad thing is we don't do much of it. So what else is there to talk about? I don't like Dick Chimney very much at all. But he had a really great comment one time. Somebody asked him why he writes so much negative stuff about the Jets. He said, because there's a lot of negative stuff going on with the Jets. That's why. You know what I mean? Now, I think he's, that might be true. I think he's definitely right. But it's a good point. It's like, guys, let's take a look in hindsight. All those years where fans were all fanned up and we thought we were going to do something and we won 4 games or whatever. Like you look back and it's like, yeah, those teams had no chance. Like the Mike McCagnon, Todd Bowles teams. Sure, the first year in 2015 when McCagnon spent all the money Idzik saved and you know what I mean? He went out and got Revis again and Cromartie again and we Brandon Marshall and all this stuff. And it worked for that year, but we still didn't make the playoffs. But then you look at the rest of the years with those teams, it's like there's no way we were going to compete. You got a rookie Sam Darnold, no offensive line, no wide receivers to speak of. How are we going to compete? Really? Even though we went into those years and we rooted. So, it's tough, man. But yeah, I'm with you. I think
and I think just really quickly on this because I didn't want it to go on. It's not just us who are talking about this. All of these ex-players who came out in support of Glenn. What is the one universal thing that they're all saying? The New York Jets better get ready to get used to winning games because that's what Aaron Glenn is going to do. Brandon Marshall did an excellent interview during the Super Bowl. I saw it on Twitter. I don't remember who it was with. I think it was with the Round Table guys. I don't remember. I'm sorry. No, I think it was with Jake Assman where he said,
Jake,
where he basically said no, we're fed up. We want to freaking win. The Jets deserve it. And it's just like, dude, B. Marsh was here for 10 minutes. And he's still one of the best receivers we've ever had. And I love Brandon Marshall. I consider him a New York Jets legend. But even B. Marsh is done with it. So I'm with it. Let's go win. Let's go do whatever it is that we can do to win. And I'm going to trust Aaron Glenn and the staff to do what they need to do. But let's just load up. Because I think with a couple of tweaks, I think with a couple of things, you can get a really damn good roster that can compete now.
Yeah.
I don't think we're that far off.
Right. We don't know how many years we all got left anyway. This whole thing of we need to, start over Tyrod Taylor. I mean, again, I'm with it for the most part. Getting rid of Boyer, getting rid of all these coaches, get rid of everybody. But Aaron Rodgers is a different story. And Devontae Adams with Aaron. Look, we saw they were humming at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. They haven't played together in a few years. It takes time to kind of get it all back going, and it looked good. So anyway, Tigo, we got the draft coming up.
Yep.
There was a question in here. I forget who had it. They said, look, if it's up to you, Jets are on the clock at 7. You go in defense or offense optimally?
Okay. It's hard to answer this question.
Obviously, it's about the player. I know that. But what do you hope?
This is a hard question to answer because my answer is Ted McMillan.
Yeah.
But he's the only offensive player I would go in the first round is Ted McMillan. But it's Ted McMillan over everybody else. It's Ted McMillan and then like Abdul Carter and Will Johnson and Malachi Starks and Mason Graham. But like if Tet McMillan is there, I've said it before. It's my. You sprint to the podium over women, children, babies, handicap, whatever you need to do to hand that card in.
All the babies in your
way. You start elbowing and throwing people. You get there and you go get Tet McMillan. He's my number one Jets target, to make it clear. He's not my number one on my board, but he's my number one like Jets target because of a lot of things. But like really short answer is Jets struggle to get any momentum in the red zone. Tet McMillan is a red zone threat. And I think partnering him and Garrett Wilson for a long time would be very, very good for whoever the young quarterback is in 2026.
Yeah. Now, you what do you think about Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, and Tet McMillan on the field in 11 personnel? Garrett Wilson in the slot.
Put all of them in the slot. Who cares? Like, that's the wonderful... You go out there with those three guys, two of them are open guaranteed because you can't cover all of them.
Yeah.
You can't cover all of them. Garrett and Devontae have similar-ish skill sets in terms of like wide receiver profiles. They're not similar wide receivers, but I hope people understand what I'm saying there. And it's like they're going to get open because they're quick, they're shifty. McMillan, you can't cover McMillan. Can you imagine putting 6'5", 210 in the slot? I'm sorry. Yeah. What slot corner is covering that guy?
Right. Yeah. I hear you. And I like that idea. And look, and I was saying it all off season last year. I really believed it and it didn't happen. But I think if you have that much of a passing threat, the run game opens up. If you have to account for everybody. Yep. The problem was Mike Williams wasn't, I don't know. He didn't end up being what we needed him to be. And Aaron Rodgers wasn't what we needed him to be the first half of the season, really. And then look, Tyron Smith was a joke. He was a turnstile. It was just terrible what he ended up being for us. Worse than I could have imagined. So that was really, really difficult. Our passing game struggled a lot because then I think Aaron Rodgers kind of got shell-shocked too. He was fucking panicking, but he was getting crushed. So, and he's not used to that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I like Tet McMillan too in the draft. That's my guy. I do have legitimate fear that, the Patriots are, in my mind, going to take him.
Yep.
So I don't think, I can't pin all my hopes on him. So Tet McMillan's gone. What are you doing?
Then you pivot to the defense. Then you start looking at Will Johnson or Malachi Starks.
Yeah.
That's the way that I look at it.
Yeah. No,
because I don't think Abdul Carter's ever going to be at 7. No. I don't think he ever makes it there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Abdul Carter's gone. Obviously, Hunter's gone.
Yep.
I think Tet McMillan's gone.
Yep.
I think Mason Graham will be there.
Yeah, but philosophically, it doesn't align with what Wilkes and Glenn want to do.
Yeah, I don't see him as a fit. And I like the defensive tackles in this class. I'm really happy.
Yeah.
Waiting a little bit and getting my run stuffing defensive tackle later in the draft.
Yep.
But
this is the other thing. I think a lot of people and you're a big proponent of this, Green Bean, because you said it all last year. And again, it's very, very true, especially with this class. I don't know if this is the class where you take a defensive lineman up top.
Yeah.
This class is the deepest.
Yep.
At defensive line. You're going to get solid players in the second round, in the third round, and in the fourth round. And every other NFL team has a tendency to find those guys. So the Jets have to start doing it. So I think it really kind of puts you in a spot where you can start legitimately looking at these other positions and you can maybe justify Malachi Starks at 7. Because, okay, I don't need to reach and get like James Pierce or Mike Green or, Mikael Williams or whoever it is that you're a defensive guy there. So like, there's a great opportunity to build this team the way that our coaches want to build this team, especially because I don't know about you, but I don't think there's a world where we can get a trade back.
The only one I heard some people talking about this one, which is interesting to me. The Bears might want to come up and get the running back, Gianti.
Ooh.
And that's only 2 spots. But even with that, is that really where it's like, okay, so you slide back 2 spots, you get a 4th round pick or something, 5th round pick for that. I mean, we're in the top 10, so maybe a little bit more. But is that really worth it? Does that move the needle for you? Get that extra 4th or something? I mean, it's good. But I don't know. I'm with you. I see it's going to be a tough sell trying to slide back. So I think we're stuck right there at 7. And I got to tell you, I know people don't like the idea of safety in the top 10, but Malachi Starks, dude, it's a huge
really
need
good
on our team, and he's
really
the best safety in the class.
Yeah, and it's like by a mile. Yeah, he's really, really good.
So you get to that. Like, look, you taking the, an offensive lineman that's really not top 10 worthy is not smart. Taking the 2nd or 3rd cornerback, whatever, Will Johnson. I don't know. I think it just makes sense if you can grab the best player in the draft, and arguably, he could be in the conversation for best player on the board at a position of need. You got to consider it.
He's my number 4 player in this draft class.
Yeah, Malachi Starks. I love him.
He goes 4 and 5, but depending on how I'm feeling about Mason Graham that day, but he's a stud. Like, that's just a reality of it. He's an absolute stud. It's just hard with this class because it's just like, you're not going to take Genty. This is one of the deepest running back classes too. And it's just like, it sucks that we don't need a running back.
Yeah. We don't need him.
And you're not going to take any of the tackles because this is not a good tackle class up top. There's a lot of depth. You can I think you can get a solid tackle in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round. It comes back to asset allocation. So, like, the really annoying thing this year, too, is going to be all the people where we had the Bowers boys last year. We're going to have the Warren Wreckers this year, whatever we're going to call them. because, like, again, to be very clear, Tyler Warren is an exceptionally good player. But this is also one of the deepest tight end classes we've ever seen. And Warren doesn't clear, like, he's not Brock Bowers. Let's not pretend like he is. So, like, again, it's like you mentioned it before, which is just, what are you going to do? Where's the asset allocation? Are you really going to take a guy where you can get a guy who's kind of, I don't want to say similar value, but like a similar-ish skill set at, in the 2nd round, in the 3rd round.
Yeah, where there's no drop-off. And there's a drop-off from Malachi Starks. Again, there's some good safeties, but I think Malachi Starks, he can do everything for you. And he can be that free safety.
And it's not even just specifically targeting Malachi Starks, because I do think that this safety class does have some players that you can legitimately look at and be like, okay, like, these guys can play for us, because it's not just Malachi Starks. I think Xavier Watts and
yeah, but I like Starks.
No, I do too. I think he's an exceptional player. I'm not trying to turn away from that. I'm just saying, like, 7 is wide open because we have no idea what the Jets are going to do. Because, like I said, no one's coming up for anybody in this draft. And I don't see a world, like, my question is, okay, let's say Chicago comes up to 7. Why are they coming up to 7? Which one of us, the Panthers or the Saints, are taking Genty?
Well, it's because you could call them and say somebody else is coming up for your guy.
Yeah, but again, this is a deep running back class.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's an idea.
No, I get what you're saying, but like, moving back, I think a lot of people love this idea of like, oh, you can just trade back, and it's just like, no, it's a two-way road. Somebody needs to want to come up. You know what I mean?
And it's not an exciting class. That's
not at all.
It'll pick up after the combine. It's going to pick up, and there will be excitement about it. But just in general, doesn't have quite the power as previous draft. Last year's draft was insane. The top 10, It was incredible. Top 20, really.
Yeah.
But anyway, Blitz Crew checking. He says, I've made it clear to my family, if something happens to me, keep me going on life support until the Jets win the Super Bowl.
Love it.
They'll just pin it to your chest and pull the plug. Blitz Crew. Like, there you go, buddy. There you go. You made it. It only took 30 more years. Yeah, that's funny, Blitz Crew. I hear you, man. KF 101 checking in. If you can get the blue chip McMillan at 7 for your red zone, then if Warren is there, if you can't get, sorry. If you can't get the blue chip McMillan at 7 for your red zone and Warren is there, who is blue chip, then take him. Well, that's the same argument, right? You can make that argument. The problem with it is that I like Luke Lakey from Iowa just as much. And you're gonna be able to get him later in the draft. So I don't know.
I like Colston Loveland in the second just as much.
Yeah,
Elijah Arroyo.
But your point is strong. The same thing that we were saying for Malachi Starks. Like if you have Tyler Warren as your clear number one tight end is a need. If Conklin doesn't sign, Yeboah doesn't sign, you're going into the season with Rucker at tight end, who's been disappointing.
Yep. Now
maybe you can, the coaching, because like again, Middleton, we all liked him. But what the fuck has that guy done? Nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think he's I did it last night on the after hours show. We backed his career up to 2004. He's had 2 winning seasons since 2004. So he's been a part of, he's not the guy, coaching the Ravens tight ends, the Chiefs, you know what I mean? So again, no stones necessarily, but the point is, who knows what a good tight end coach can get out of these guys, right? So maybe Rucker, there's more there. That's my hope. I feel like he's regressed. But if Tyler Warren is the clear number one guy and Tet's gone and your other guys are gone that you thought were worthy up there, and you can get the best tight end in the class from your vantage point, then there's an argument for that. And that's what we were talking about. We were using Malachi Starks as the example, KF, but it's the same. It's the same thing. And I agree with you. You think he's got a point?
No, I think I think he went a little bit too far with it. My thing is just get the blue chipper. Whoever the blue chipper is, that's at a good value, go and get him. This class isn't going to this draft class doesn't have a guy that's going to fix your team. It just doesn't have it. You know what I mean? Like a guy who's going to be like, I don't think this draft class has that superstar in it. Because there were previous draft classes where there's like, this guy's going to be a superstar, 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 this guy's going to be a superstar. This class doesn't really have that. What this class has is a ton of players that are going to be in the league for a long time that you're going to forget played for your football team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your Jesse Bates to the thirds. That's a perfect example. That's what this class has a bunch of Jesse Bates. Because you think Bengals fans are going to remember Jesse Bates in 5-10 years? Or Atlanta fans are going to remember Jesse Bates in 15 years? No, it's just going to become a trivia thing. But like Jesse Bates is a good safety. Not bad. He's good. But he's never going to be an all-pro safety. But he's also never going to not be unemployed.
Yeah.
He's going to play for 15 years. That's what this class is. So like get as many of those guys as you can because that's what your roster is built out of.
Right. Look, Rusty Spooner and I once again align. I mean, look, it's not hard going to Iowa and looking at their tight ends because it's a tight end farm up there.
Go get whoever the interior offensive lineman is from Wisconsin.
Yeah,
you get the tight end out of Iowa.
Yeah, I mean it's
whoever's left guard at Notre Dame, you get him.
Yeah, it's not hard, everybody. So anyway, Blitz Crew checking back in says by the value chart, a trade back to 9 is a late third. All right, yeah, there you go. So that's what I was thinking, like fourth, but late third. Yeah, if you can. So, but where's Chicago? Let me see. Let's take a look right here, real quick. We'll take a look, Blitz Crew, and see where they are. So here's the value chart. Here's the draft. So in the third, So Chicago in the third has picked 72. Let's do it this way. Hold on. So here we go. So Chicago, they don't have a late third and they don't have a fourth. So you'd have to convince them to give you 72. Now, if you can get pick 72 for a 2-pick slide, when you're like totally fine with Malachi Starks, Ty Warren, or maybe an offensive lineman there, whatever, you're like, all right, well, I'm good with either one of these guys. Chicago is calling. They're offering me their fifth. I'm going to tell them it takes a third. If they say yes, they got 2 seconds. You know what I mean?
Especially with Carolina and the Saints taking a defensive lineman, probably. You know? But again, it comes back to this. Why would you trade up for Genty? That's my biggest thing is always going to come back to that, which is just like Genty's good. He's really, really good. But is Genty so much better than like Hampton and Scadaboo and Henderson and all those guys that you need to give up a third to go get him, to jump to teams that weren't going to take him anyway? And theoretically, wouldn't you technically have to get in front of the Raiders? Because aren't the Raiders a bigger threat to take a running back than the Jets? So you would need to try to convince. That's where my thing comes in with this whole like trading up for Genty. And this isn't me trying to like Genty should have won the Heisman in my opinion, but like I don't know, man.
All right, I'm putting a poll out there. If Tet is gone at 7, you got Tyler Warren, you got Malachi. I'll put their tight end so people know. Tight end. You got you got Starks. Safety. You got Graham, defensive tackle. And then you got, let me see here. Let me take a look just to refresh my memory here. He's going to be gone. Let's say Banks, the tackle. Hold on. Who I don't love yet.
Me neither. I don't love this offensive line class in the first.
Scadaboo's fun. He's interesting. I only watched a little bit. But
He's fun.
Yeah. But I don't know. I like our running back room. You know, I really do like our running back room. And I think like the thing is, like if we, like people are saying trade Brees and draft it. Dude, the running back room is not up. We have actual needs, and I'll tell you what they are. You got a hole at right tackle, okay? Yep. We have really, as of right now, we have 1 tight end on the roster.
Yep, so you need 2
of them. Aaron Rodgers and let's say Devontae Adams doesn't come back, you're looking at Garrett Wilson, Malachi Corley, Xavier Gibson, Irv Charles. That's our wide receiver.
Irv's a free agent.
Yeah, so we got to re-sign him. So think about that. And Jason Brownlee's in the Super Bowl this week.
Yep.
Good for
And that's just on the offensive side of the ball.
Right.
We didn't talk about the fact that we need 2 safeties. We need an interior defensive lineman. We need a corner.
You need a corner, but don't forget, it's unlikely the Jets need to really make a push for Sherwood because Ulbricht and Saleh are both out there in defensive coordinator positions. And guess who they're going to want? They're going to want Sherwood. He's primed to be one of the better line. He's on that ascend. He had like 130 tackles or something.
It was the highest, like he had the most solo tackles, I think, of any linebacker in the NFL last year. Like I don't remember what the stat is. He was either was top 3 or something like that. And okay, I get it. Why everyone's like, oh, Sherwood's gonna leave. But like, why? I never understood the people that were like, no, he's for sure gonna leave. Why would Glenn let that happen? Why would Wilkes let that happen? Like, and anybody can just look at a stat sheet and be like, oh, this guy's a tackling machine and he's aggressive as crap, and we like to send pressure Why don't we send let's not even make a push to keep one of the best tackling linebackers in the NFL on a team that I want my tackles to come down here and tackle aggressively. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And let's not act like we don't have the space to keep him. We can easily give him a 3-year, $33 million deal to stick around for the New York Jets. Easily. It's not that complicated.
I mean, but the thing is, with that starting,
and that's an overpay.
A whole new defense. If Atlanta's gonna come after him, no doubt.
Of course, and San Francisco, they're both gonna go after him.
The allure of playing for the guys who drafted you, changed you from a safety to a linebacker, and developed you into the guy that's getting this contract. Dude, that's knowing you're gonna play in that defense that you were already successful in, that kind of a thing. That's alluring. And he could say, I'm going to go to the Niners, they're likely to win. I'll go play for Robert Saleh again and win.
I get all of that. But this idea of, like, we don't even have a shot, like, that's the vibe that we're getting. And it's just like, dude, that's ridiculous. It's a defensive-minded head coach and a defensive coordinator who both like to play aggressive. And you're telling me that those guys wouldn't love a linebacker room of Quincy Williams and Jamie and frickin' Sherwood? Are you kidding me? Of course they would. Because those guys, when they come downhill, they hit like trucks. They like the physical part of the game. Like, that's... It screams Steve Wilkes and Aaron Glenn to me. So, like, I think he's more likely going to stay because... on the defensive side of the ball, the one part of our team that wasn't a problem last year was the linebackers.
Yeah. And you keep it together. Don't get me wrong. I'd love it. And it's definitely possible, but you got to get in there early and let him know he's a priority. If not, I just think there's going to be some real pull. It's not just like any team in free agency. The two guys that developed him happen to be out there in two different places. Yeah. Blitzkrieg checking in. Chicago 10 and 72 for 7 and 109 works by points. Well, do you want to do that? That's what you want to do. You want to slide back 3 spots, get 72 and throw 109. Now that's our only 4th round pick. So that would give us 2/3, no 4th, 2 5ths, and 2 6ths. We also don't have a 7th. Joe Douglas's thing was not to have 7ths. We did last year, but generally speaking, we don't have 7th round picks. That's Joe Douglas's thing. He uses those, which is not the smartest. I'm not the stupidest thing in the world. I like it. Hennessy says Starks is a reach. A little bit, but again,
I think it's a reach.
But
it's
again,
just not good value.
Well, it's just that signifies, like when you're not getting good value for somebody. If you're taking somebody at 7 that's projected to be, 15 to 25, that's considered a reach, right? And like you're saying, it's not good value and positionally. But again, it's a major hole on your team, and you're getting the best player in the draft at that position. If you can't move and you don't like the other players at positions that are what are called premium positions, the cornerback, the wide receivers, quarterback, obviously tackles, like they're just not moving the needle for you. Go get the best safety at a position in need. Go get the best player.
You need 2 of them.
Position in need. And that applies to Tyler Warren as well, if that's what you think. I'm a big fan of seeing the Jets finally go to fucking Iowa and grabbing Luke Lakey and just bring him in. Just watch. Just start with highlights on him. You're going to love it right away. You're going to be like, all right, this is our guy.
Yep.
That's what the Ravens do. It's like, these teams, man, these teams that are always good, they just know how to do it. So we did that one already. Let's see. Rusty Spooner talking about Glenn might trade Sauce, Garrett, and Brees, receive hauls of picks for 25, 26, 27. It's a real possibility, and sign Reed long. Dude, Reed ain't staying.
Reed's gone. He's going back to San Francisco, or I think he's ending up in Pittsburgh. I know the fit schematically isn't all that like great, but like they so desperately need a corner.
Yeah, and they always win. You know, they're always a good team. Like Reed came here, did it suck the life out of him? He said, "I am ready to see what free agency looks like for me. I'm ready for change." He's done here.
Yep.
This place sucked the life out of DJ Reed. He's done.
And there are teams that need corners out there that are like ready to win. Minnesota needs a corner. Green Bay needs a corner. We already talked about the Steelers need a corner. The Falcons need a corner. They need someone to play next to AJ Terrell. Maybe there's another one. Goes and follows Jeff Ulbrich and gets on apparently the safety that all the Jets fans are in love with, because I said that Jesse Bates wasn't all that great of a safety. I said he was a good safety, and apparently that's an insult nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely good.
I agree. That's what I said. He's a good safety.
I don't think he said he was bad.
He's not an all-pro.
Somebody thinks he's a little bit bad. He's not an all-pro, right?
Yeah, that's all I was saying.
Yeah,
not an all-pro. He's not a Pro Bowl safety. Like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, all right, hold on here. Let me look at something here.
Justin Reed, was that a better example, guys, of a good, not great safety? Is that just chat? Let me know what a good example is of a good, not great safety, or a good, not great player that I can use for this example, so I don't get hated for saying Jesse Bates isn't an all-time safety, even though he's not.
Right. Tampa Pete's guy. That's the thing. Look, it takes a lot for, if somebody's getting equal money on a team and for a franchise that can win. Now, if you're battling between the Jaguars and the Jets, okay, it's a different story. You stay where, but there's a whole new defense coming. There's a whole new regime here. The environment is intense. We haven't won in 15 years, no matter who we bring in. I think if people have the opportunity to leave, it's enticing.
No, absolutely it is.
Sam Aiken checking in says, even if we get T-Mac, which other receivers can we draft in the later rounds to improve our receiving core?
There's a ton of them.
I haven't done my
wide receiver class.
Yeah, I haven't done my deep dive yet, but so I don't have that answer for you.
It just depends on like profile and like what you're looking for, and it's like the other thing is like, what do you define a later round? Like, are you talking about like the second, where you're maybe looking at like the like your like second and thirds, where you're looking at like your Jaden Higgins and your Tez Johnsons and your Trey Harrises and your Torrey Hortons, or are you talking about like late, your Nick Nashes and your Ty Feltons and those guys? Like, because there's names that I think one of the things we need to get used to is that wide receivers I think their level of play is starting to level out. We're not seeing so many like superstar, like break the NFL wide open wide receivers anymore, but we're also not, it's been a couple of years since we've seen a draft class where it's just like, there's not a single wide receiver worth a damn. So I think the level of wide receiver nationally is starting to I think the highs are getting lower and I think the lows are getting higher, and they're becoming more middle of the pack.
Yeah. So later on, like you said, Tez Johnson, I was looking at him, it depends, right? There's some shifty guys that you could look at. I don't know if we got to see what this new offensive coordinator of ours really likes to do, right? Do we want the big possession guys? Do we want, a shifty guy to stick in the slot? But we'll have more answers for you as it moves on, Sam. Bearded checking back in. Anyone you would franchise tag? Would you franchise tag Sherwood?
Absolutely not. The franchise tag for a linebacker is $27 million.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Can't do that. There's not a single person on the Jets that's going to get franchise tagged. I'm going through that list in my head. There isn't a single person that's walking.
You could franchise tag Yeboah.
Yeah, hard.
Or just sign him for vet minimum, whatever you want.
I don't even think it's a vet minimum. I think it's just a minimum. I don't think he's a vet minimum yet.
Sure he is. He's going into his 5th year.
Doesn't it kick in after the 5th year?
I thought it was 5th year. Let's see. When? Let's see. What year? That's the vet. Let's see. All right. So, well, look, there's minimums for every year. Wait, let me see here. But yeah, 4 to 6 years is like what I consider. So I guess there's a 1.5. I guess there's minimums every year. But
yeah, so 4 to 6 years is 1.125.
And that sounds good to me.
The vet minimum is 7 years, which is 1.21. That's what I think of.
5 years a vet, dude. The average career.
No, totally. But I mean, like the vet minimum is in like, if they sign minimum contracts for the rest of their career, it's never going to change after 7.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I don't think so. I don't think we have anybody to franchise tag this year.
Here's a list of our free agents that we're losing this year. You tell me which one we're tagging. Hassan Reddick, DJ Reed, Javon Kinlaw, Tyler Conklin, Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses, Solomon Tomlin, Ashton Davis, Lecky Fotu, Wes Schweitzer, Isaiah Oliver. I know you want to franchise tag Wes Schweitzer.
Yeah, he's
Chuck Clark, Kenny Yeboah, Jalen Mills, Sam Agavovovovoven, Kendall Sheffield, Greg Joseph, Kene Nwangwu, Malik Taylor, Bruce Hector, Jamin Davis, Jake Hansen, the wonder right guard that never played, Jamian Sherwood, Xavier Newman-Johnson, Chaz Surratt, Brandon Eccles, Tony Adams, and Irv Charles. Who are we franchise tagging?
Yeah, there's nobody in there.
I know you want to do Wes Schweitzer. I know you want to give him 25 mil.
We got to keep him at all costs, that guy. Hennessy checking in. We need ball hawks. You can't hit in the NFL anymore. Well, I'll tell you what. Malachi Starks hits, but he's a good form tackler, so he hits legally. But he can be a ball hawk, man. He's got great hands,
good in coverage,
vertical. Yeah, he's my guy, I think. I'm going to be yelling about Malachi Starks come draft. You'll see. I can see it already. But that's it. Tag Reddick, JV Free says. Just for laughs.
Just for a laugh. Oh, man.
That's good. Well, that's going to do it, everybody. Talking draft. We're just getting started with the draft stuff. Heading into Super Bowl weekend. We're in Super Bowl week. We're heading into Super Bowl weekend, everybody. So you can have some fun watching the Eagles try and the NFL not let them do it. I really hope the Eagles. I'm rooting for the Eagles.
I'm not.
Oh, I don't know how you can't.
I hate my hatred for the Eagles and their fan base and that team and that city and that organization and anything that's ever come out of Philly that's not related with the founding of our country. I absolutely despise. There's a few teams that I will never root for, and I don't want the Chiefs to get the three-peat because they'll be undeniable. Like not undeniable, Jesus. Like just miserable to have a conversation with a Chiefs fan, like at all. But there's not a fiber in my being that can root for the Eagles. I wanted the commies to do it all.
I know, I did too. They were never beating the Chiefs. But here we go. So we ended the poll. If Ted is gone at 7, who you taking? We have Mason Graham taking it home with 39%. Tyler Warren, the tight end, at 25%. Malachi Starks, the safety, with 23%. And Banks, the tackle, with 11%. I had a feeling it would go that way. Mason Graham is the name right now.
He's a stud. I'd be okay with that pick.
He's a stud. But, guys, I want to thank you for hanging out. Oh, thank you, Rusty Spooner. That's very nice. You're awesome, Tigo. See that? I want to thank BetUS. Don't forget about the great offer. YouTube 150 is the promo code. 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 is the offer. Take advantage of that. Thank you to BetUS for hanging out with us. Tigo, it was fun, as always. You got anything coming up, buddy?
I am starting a new series. I don't know if I'm doing it weekly or bi-weekly, but we're doing like full mock off seasons, signings and extensions and all these things. We just did the Aaron Rodgers is staying one because I think that's the most likely. So if you haven't seen that, go and watch that. It was a good time. Lots of comments and lots of things there. Try to go into all that stuff. But that's really what I'm trying to do now is just give people as much information as possible in terms of like what players we can draft and how that can affect our team, what free agents are available, and how our coaching staff and GM historically, how their teams have addressed like free agency and stuff like that. So that's what we're doing. A lot of just ramping up content to be like, let's see what this team might do. And hopefully one of them is spot on. I'm thinking this first one is a pretty decent offseason.
I like it. Go and check out Tigo. Link is at the top of the description of this video for Tigo's channel. Please show him some love. Don't forget to hit the like button right here and subscribe to the Talking Jets channel. I will be back with you tomorrow night with Gunny and Dom C on the Thursday Thick of It on Green Bean Jets Fan on YouTube. So with that all said, thanks for hanging out, everybody. It was a fun night, and we will see you. Where is it, Tigo? There it is. We'll see you next time, everybody.